Hi, I'm Chef Owen Tilley, and I want to welcome you to this week's installment of Ask the Chef. Today's question comes from John, one of our Facebook fans. And John asks, what's the best way to boil lobster? Here on the East Coast, lobster is a great springtime treat all the way through the summer, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Very simple to cook a lobster. A lot of people shy away from it because of the screaming noise the lobster makes when it cooks, but you know what? We'll talk about that later. Let's get to cooking. All you need is a large stock pot. Now for a couple of lobsters, let's say 12. Let's go with 12 to be safe. About a 12-quart stock pot's going to do the trick. More lobsters, of course, you're going to need more space, so go with a larger one. Now, all you need to do is fill the pot up with water and then take some salt and really pour a very, very, very liberal amount of salt in there. Now, the reason I'm doing this is that lobsters live in salt water, and the salt really does bring out the natural flavor of their meat. So, we're going to put the lid on it and let it bring it back to a boil, which happens really quickly once you have the salt added into it. And then let's look at our lobster. So, what I'm going to do is take this lobster and very carefully take the rubber bands off of its claws. Now, be careful because they have very sharp claws and they will rip into your skin. So, the reason why I take off the bands around the lobster's claws is that sometimes it actually insulates the meat where the band was and it won't cook fully all the way. So, take the time, pop them off, but like I said, be very, very careful. So now we're going to put the lobster into the pot. With your water nice and boiling, you're going to want to put the lobster in head first, just like this. Now you want to make sure that the lobster's fully submerged, so take a pair of tongs, just give it a little push in there. Now, I'm going to put the lid back on, make sure that it's hot enough, and bring it back to a boil. Now once it's at a boil, you're going to want to reduce the heat to medium and let it cook for 5 minutes for your first pound, an additional 3 minutes for every other pound. Now, simply means is if you have a 1.5 pound lobster, you're going to cook it for 6.5 minutes. Now, lobster overcooks very rapidly, so at the end of the time, remove it from the water and put it in a pan or on some paper towels to drain. Now, the reason I say this is a lot of people will just turn off the water and let the lobster sit to keep it warm. If you do this, you're not going to have a very successful cooking day, and it's really going to show up in the texture of the lobster. So, now I'm going to take the lobster out through the magic of internet cooking, and here we go. Let's pull this. So, I'm going to let it sit and let it drain. Now, one of the things that's very obvious is that it has changed colors. So when your lobster's done, it's going to be a beautiful reddish orange color like this, and not the deep brownish orangish reddish color it was before. And some lobsters even have a blue color when they're uncooked. And honestly, guys, that's it. That's all there is to it. I want to thank John for asking the question, what's the best way to cook lobster, and invite you to come back next week. As usual, I'm Chef Owen. You keep asking, I'll keep cooking.